Hey guys, Furum here, and today I'm going to be testing the SCG 003S in multiplayer. Let's get right into the first race, which is on San Francisco against two Vulcans, as well as a Ford GT. My car's tuning is 4444 with all the import parts I could put on it at 1 star. One really cool thing about this car that makes it so overpowered is that at 1 star, if you put all the upgrades and import parts on it you can, it is faster than a 4-star, completely maxed out Vulcan. So that is one reason this car is so overpowered. The other reason is that its nitro efficiency is probably one of the best in the entire game. This is very useful when you shockwave because the shockwave lasts longer, meaning that if you're at a low speed, you can get up to a higher speed with the shockwave than you might in another car. So the car ahead of us right now is a 2942 Vulcan, almost a completely maxed out Vulcan, and he is still slower than we are. Remember what I said earlier? That's just amazing. And I will say that the 4-star Vulcans are probably some of the hardest vehicles to beat in this car, at least in this season, but it is definitely still possible to beat them. Here, we shoot past him, go up the barrel, and yeah, he gets really close here. I'm not exactly sure what happened, but we still pull ahead, go up these ramps, and then just barely stay ahead of him for the rest of this race, but we do manage to pull out the victory. So that was the first race I ever played in my SCG in multiplayer. And wow, was it amazing. So we beat this 2900 Vulcan as well as a 2200 Ford GT and a 2444 Vulcan. Okay, now we have a race in which we are facing 4 other Vulcans. And a Nissan GTR Nismo, but that car is not as great. So as you can see, the Vulcans do start up slightly faster than this car, but the SCG's superior speed can usually allow it to catch up in the majority of cases. Again, as you can see here, its shockwave lasting so long is extremely useful for getting up to speed, where a car with not so great nitro efficiency, which is pretty much everything, might not be able to get up to speed so well. I'd say this car's only real big downside, its handling is a little stiff, and its acceleration could be a bit better. However, remember, this is only at 1 star. I actually have it up to 2 stars now as I am recording this, and it pretty much then just has slight improvements in all areas. So you may be wondering, how did I get this car? So it had an event recently in which you could get it by playing a race up to 220 times. There were multiple goals. I think one was 46 seconds and one was 42 seconds. I used my 3-star Acura, and I was able to get the 46-second and 42-second ones 150 times or so. I spent a lot of tokens on fuel refills. Through all that, and buying one of the 750 token packs of 10, I was able to get this car and finally 2-star it. At 1 star, I could not make this car purple, but don't worry, in my next video about it, it definitely will be. So here we beat 4 higher ranked Vulcans. In this race, we are facing a 2700 rank Vulcan and a 2400 rank Nissan GTR Nismo. Now, this Vulcan here was quite a good driver, which led to a bit of a closer race than I might have expected. So I found that the best thing to do at the beginning of this specific variant of the Himalayas track, wait till you have a full bar of nitro and then shockwave, or you may even want to wait to shockwave until you reach the bottom of that drop there. Because as you can see right now, my speed is quite a bit below my maximum speed. Then here, I like to try to flat spin off the side of the ramp a little bit, because I believe that reduces the initial speed loss of going up in the air. So as you can see right here after I run out of nitro, this car definitely is faster than the Vulcan. Now he is a 3-star Vulcan, not a 4-star one, but he was still a very good competitor throughout this race. So I've actually found enough blueprints to 3-star my Vulcan as well. Unfortunately, the upgrades are extremely expensive, so yeah, it may be a little while before I make a video about it. However, I have done a few multiplayer races with it, not quite as much as this car because, well, this car is just better, but yeah, it still does seem to do quite well. One thing about the Vulcan that makes it quite nice is that it accelerates faster than a lot of the other cars in multiplayer, which I find to be quite annoying when I'm driving my SCG, which starts up slightly slower because then I have to get around them, and I risk getting 360'd or knockdown when I go by them. That has happened a lot from my experience. But in this race, thankfully, it did not happen, and we beat this 2700 Vulcan and a 2400 GTR Nismo. The Nismo just isn't all that great. Now, in this race, I do what I believe is the best way to get up through here and up that hill with the least speed loss. You drift through this section, just wiggle drifting, hopefully nobody knocks you down, and then you supercharge up this hill. You can go up the barrel rolls if you want to. In fact, it is probably better, but if you have a car with good nitro efficiency, such as this SCG, you do not have to. So this Vulcan ahead of us right now is in fact a 4-star Vulcan, who we are actually faster than with just a 1-star SCG. Still, that amazes me. He goes a bit high on that ramp, thankfully does not land directly on top of me, and then proceeds to drift around the corner. Thankfully, I had enough nitro that I did not need to drift, and I shockwaved over that section that would slow you down if you did not shockwave, and thus I managed to get ahead of him. That little section back there, where I passed him, is probably one of the most make or break sections on this entire track. You have to have shockwave there, or else you're toast, basically. And I've also been on the unlucky side of that a few times, where I haven't had shockwave, and yeah, it hasn't been pretty. So in case you guys don't know, ProTM, which the guy behind me is a member of, that is Dr. Hulusion's team. Since I am good friends with Dr. Hulusion, Legions United and ProTM have kind of a friendly competition going on, and so it's quite fun when we get to race each other. So in this race, we have beat 2 high-ranked Vulcans as well as a 4-star Acura NSX. And something interesting I noticed is that I haven't really seen many Acuras this season. I guess the reason for that is because there's so many other cars that are faster, like the Vulcan, the SCG, the Aventador SV, which by the way I have 3-starred and hope to test soon. See, the thing is that Acura, even though it has better acceleration than this car's, is a lot slower, and thus they catch up, and then the Acura struggles to win. Still though, the Acura is probably my favorite car in the game to drive. Just the driving dynamics of it, because its acceleration is amazing, its drifting is amazing. All in all, it's just very fun to drive. Although I will say the SCG is probably my second favorite car in the game to drive, because just its nitro efficiency is amazing, its speed is amazing, and although its drifting and handling and acceleration may not be especially great, they're not bad either. As for my third favorite car to drive, probably the Vulcan. It's also a very nice and easy car to drive with well-rounded stats. So the car ahead of us right now is a 3-star Vulcan. Interestingly, there are a 4-star Vulcan and 4-star Acura behind us. Yeah, kind of interesting. In Asphalt 9, if you're a good driver, you can beat a lot of cars that are at a higher rank than you, even if they are driving the same car. So we have caught up to this Vulcan, and the reason I'm saving my nitro is so I can go up this ramp, drift a bit at the bottom, and then shockwave here, and thus get ahead of him. Interestingly, we do a barrel roll there, land on our side, but thankfully do not wreck, and thus we go to the finish line, and in first position, beating 2 higher ranked Vulcans and an Acura. One thing I've noticed about Asphalt 9 is it tends to not wreck you as often if you get put on your side, or maybe even your top, because I've had some times where I've landed on my top, and literally the car just kind of keeps going and flips over. Most of the time it wrecks, yes, but you're pretty much never going to have that in Asphalt 8, except for that one invincibility glitch that happens on the Barcelona beach, which I was never able to do, but I've seen many other people do. It's really weird. And speaking of Asphalt 8, I have a bit of bad news. So the Porsche Carrera GT Championship disappeared for participation an entire day before it was supposed to, a whole 24 hours. So I was thinking I had 24 hours left to start it, when in reality, I didn't. So this is a bug, and it affects everybody, I believe, across all platforms who has not started it yet. And so I, along with a lot of other people, have emailed customer care about it. Hopefully we can get it back, but if not, I'm going to lose the Carrera GT because of a bug, which is kind of annoying. But with the new multiplayer system, it wouldn't be all that great anyway. I don't want to get started on that again. Okay, so we're coming up near the end of this race, shockwave around the final turn. Thankfully, that guy back there does not pass us, and we come in second position. That guy ahead of us was a really good driver, as most of the people in Pro Team tend to be. But we did beat 2 higher ranked Aventadors and another 4-star Vulcan. Now in this race, our main competitor was a 3-star Vulcan, as well as a DB11 and a Shelby GT350R. Now, I may have decided not to put this race in, because not much competition, but it ended up being a very close race. One thing that annoys me about Asphalt 9 is if you hit a car from behind that is going at a much slower speed than you, you just kind of instantly slow down to their speed. Unless of course you're somebody hitting me from behind, in which case, well, I always get knocked down and they get to go by with no problems whatsoever. Or at least that's what it seems like. Okay, so we're now coming up to the part where I finally, yes, learned to go down below, then go around here, and then shockwave up this ramp. However, the same thing happened again. I hit him from behind and got slowed down to his speed, even though I was in shockwave. I do not get it. And because of that, in a 2400 SCG, we are having problems against a 2100 DB11 of all things. And I have actually 2-starred my DB11 now, and it is quite fast for such a low rank. However, its acceleration and nitro efficiency are pretty bad. So yeah, unless you can really get away from people and then be in front where they can't catch up, I don't really see how it's much of a good car to use in multiplayer, especially in this season where the SCGs and Vulcans start up faster and are faster. Yeah, it may be good for Platinum League and stuff, but I doubt it could get you to Legends. Unless, of course, you're a hacker. The DB11 seems to be a very common hacker vehicle because it is probably one of the easiest cars to get in the game that has a pretty fast speed. So the cars we beat in here were that 3-star Vulcan and that DB11, as well as a Shelby GT350R, which is not so great in multiplayer this season. So in the second to last race in the video, we face Elite Predator in his 4-star Vulcan, as well as another 4-star Vulcan and a 2-star one. I'm not entirely sure how, but I managed to get ahead of them all in the beginning, even though the Vulcan has faster acceleration. Maybe that's because I used nitro and they didn't. Maybe I should start doing that more often in my SCG. I always like learning things when I go back and watch some of my own videos. There, I landed right on top of that guy, did not knock him down somehow. Again, that'd be the timer. If I were the guy on the bottom, I'd have gotten knocked down instantly. So the guy behind us is Elite Predator in his Vulcan. Now, you've got to remember, when driving the SCG, if you can get ahead of the Vulcans, as long as you don't make mistakes, you should be good to go. Now, the trouble is getting ahead of them to begin with. However, thankfully, in this race, it wasn't too much of a problem. Interesting fact, Dr. Illusion is the only player in the top 10 in multiplayer this season who does not have an SCG. That's right, he uses his 4-star Vulcan. Now, some of you may be wondering, how did I 3-star my Vulcan so quickly after not even getting the Vulcan for so long? Well, once I got the Vulcan, I opened a lot of seasons in career that gave many more blueprints for it, so yeah, that's how I managed to do it, plus doing daily car loot more often. So here we have beat Elite Predator in his 4-star Vulcan, and the third place guy is actually a 2-star Vulcan. Another 4-star Vulcan came in last. Just goes to show that if you are skillful, you really can beat other people in the same cars that are higher ranked than you. And for our final race in the video, we have this track again, the exact same variant as we had 2 times earlier in the video. And wow, am I glad that the 360 knockdowns were taken away in the first 10 seconds of a race. I really hope that does stay forever. So I have to drift a bit longer than I would like to, but it was worth it because then we can get up to Shockwave, go up this ramp, get more speed in the air, and come down into second position, and then Shockwave around this turn. I've said it before, but I'll say it again. Knowing when to use what kinds of nitro and when to drift and when not to drift are probably 2 of the most important things you can learn in Asphalt 9. The car ahead of us right now is a 2-star SCG. Again, we come up to this section and I shockwave here, but he also shockwaves quite effectively, allowing me to catch up slightly closer to him, but not all that much. Now, I take this corner a little bit tighter, then Shockwave, catch up to him, and knock him down. It wasn't actually on purpose. I was just going for that blue nitro that he was also going for, and we met, and thus I knocked him down because I was going faster at the time. So since we're coming up to the end of the race, I would say that the SCG is probably one of the best cars in the game you can get. It is a beast in multiplayer, it is the B-Class King, and it is very fun to drive. It is very good in so many aspects. If you didn't manage to get it in its most recent events or card packs, don't worry, they do appear in the shop for 5 blueprints for 500,000 credits, which I actually did purchase one of, and there are some to be found in a couple career seasons. So here we beat this 2500 Ford GT and 2800 SCG. And we reached Legends League, 1800 rating. So we go through this, go out, and then see, welcome to the Legend League. All thanks to my 1-star SCG. It is probably the best 1-star car in the game. I have 2-starred it, so I will be making a video about that sometime soon. Thank you all for watching. Please like the video if you've enjoyed, and consider subscribing for more Asphalt 9 content. And I will see you in my next video. Goodbye!